New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hi, welcome back. It's wonderful to have you here. And I am your host, Reverend Sharri Johnson, and this is Global Focus Today, where we interview focus ministers from across the New Thought movement. And our guest today is unique amongst those because, well, maybe not completely unique, but reasonably unique. Unlike most of the focus ministers I know, he knew he was going to be a minister when he was 7 years old. Now, most of us, it's a second or third career, but not Reverend Dr. Brock Ford. He knew what was going to happen. He didn't know how, he didn't know where, but he knew what was going to happen. And he has been going full tilt ever since he was ordained. He's been with us before, but lots of wonderful, exciting things have happened since then. So I asked him to come back, and he did. So please help me welcome back Reverend Dr. Brock Ford.
Thank you.
I am so excited about all the things that are happening. I wish you were closer to where I am so I could be taking part in them. So tell us what's new and exciting since the last time you were here.
Well, I wish I was sitting right next to you in person so we could engage with it. So but a lot has been happening. And thank you for that wonderful opening and introduction. Last time we were just talking about my life and what was going on and how I ended up going to the ministry and things of that nature. And since then, I've been guest speaking all over the Bay Area and all over the country, actually on Zoom as well on Sundays. And then I've been hired at a Unity Church in Richmond, California, which is about 20 minutes down the road, to do the fourth and fifth Sundays of the month. So I'm getting pretty busy with all of that. But most importantly, and dearest to my heart, is my diversity workshops. So they have just been exploding at the moment. And so we did the first section of it, my part one, which was diversity 101, basically. And it was just terms and history and terminology, what this movement is all about, why it came about, and why it was needed, and things of that nature. And now the second one is navigating a path of diversity and religion. And so I'm sort of going to get into scripture and Bible verses and things of that nature and help people understand, I guess, when things are coming at us in the community, instead of fighting or getting all reactive and things of that nature, let it be and know that who you are and within you, you're not what they're saying and things of that nature. But I got a lot of people asking me, give them some scriptures and things to equip them so that they can sort of have a debate and go back and forth with people, and especially family members. And there was a lady that really inspired me. Her name is Gretchen, and she came to me and asked me if I could help her know words and phrases to talk to her son about, because her granddaughter is trans. And the father of the trans daughter is having grave difficulty with it. And so this lady asked me, can you help us how to talk to our family? How do we help him understand that she's okay? And so that sparked in me, okay, that's part two of my workshops. So it's we're going to be doing that on August the 12th at the Unity Church in Vacaville. And the last time that we did the first one, where there was a huge write-up in the paper. They gave me a whole full page talking about that in the Vacaville paper. And so we've got that again this time. And we had a lot of people show up, and we hope to have a lot of people this time as well. And it's going to be a 4-part series, Sharri. It's going to go from the first one, which was terminology and history, to navigating the path of religion and diversity. The next one moves into human rights and civil rights, and that will be the next 2. And that'll be my 4-part diversity series, and I'm taking it around the country and on Zoom. Does that help?
That was my question. Is you said you were going to be doing it at a center there, but will it also be available through Zoom? Will people be able to Zoom into that one, or will they just need to sign up for one you're doing with Zoom?
They can come on to that Zoom as well. It's on a Saturday, and I'll send that out on email. I'll send it to you too, Sharri, so that in case other people want it, you can send it along. And then I'll be advertising, on Facebook and all those different types of things as well.
Well, and if somebody wanted to just get some more information, they could just go to your website, right?
They sure can. It's www.brockford.life, Life. And that'll take you to my YouTube channel and all those types of things as well. All the information is there. Thank you.
Okay, so what about the other big thing that you've been doing besides the diversity?
Well, I'm doing lots of things, actually. Which one are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about that homeless ministry thing.
Oh, I call it unhoused these days.
Thank you. I like that much better myself.
I didn't learn that till about several months ago, but I like it, and so I use it these days. But it's really growing. Last time we talked, I was living in San Francisco, and I had been there for 25 years, and got involved with Urban Angels San Francisco, and that was through a guy at the Unity Church there. And I started working on Thursdays and Saturdays with him. And then during pandemic, I started doing 3 days a week because I wasn't working much. And so Peter and I bought a house, and we moved over to the Napa River area. And I'm like, I miss doing that. I miss going out 3 times a week, and I don't want to drive back over to San Francisco. It's about an hour drive now. And so I decided, Brockford Life Ministry can incorporate the homeless, the unhoused as well. It's not just about going to churches and speaking. And so truly, my ministry really isn't about going to churches and speaking. I love doing that, and it's a wonderful blessing to be able to help people grow. But my real, true divine calling is to help the disenfranchised and the struggling and the hurting. And so that's where the unhoused comes in, and other people that show up in my life. But so I decided to just put an ad on Nextdoor app. You know how you can just write little things on Nextdoor and say things. So I made a post and said that I moved over here, I help the unhoused, and I'm looking for donations. I was inundated with donations. It was unbelievable. And one lady gave me $1,000 cash and wanted it to be specifically used to buy food and things of that nature. And it was just amazing. And since then, they just keep rolling in, so much so that my partner, Peter, is like, you got to get all this stuff out of our garage because it's just piling up. So it's been a wonderful blessing to do that and to be able to go out.
One of the things you need people to donate for you as a storage facility where you can store stuff in between times, which, you know what? It sounds like a big ask, but if you don't ask, you don't get.
It's true. It's true.
So,
but
y'all out there in the San Francisco area, no, not San Francisco, the Napa River area. If y'all have got a storage facility with an empty slot in it, give Rev Brock a call. Let him know, because he could store a lot of food and clothing and toys, because he doesn't. What I love about the way you work with the unhoused is that you really serve the whole person. I mean, toys for the children.
Yes. Treats,
not just beans and rice, but food that tastes good and that feels like comfort food to them. I mean, and every kind of clothing, we
have everything.
You told me about the what was it? Transgender person that you kept an eye out for certain things because you knew what her style was.
I know. And one lady gave me.
And I went, wow, knock me over with a feather. Most folks will give you what they give you. And if you don't like it, too bad. And you put so much heart into your ministry. I just absolutely adore it.
You're so sweet. I don't think of it that way, but I guess I do because it comes from my heart.
It does.
But just like with the transgender girl, her name is Macy. One lady gave me a big garbage bag of purses and shoes for women. And so I saved that whole bag and took it over to her. You would have thought it was Christmas, but you know, and I know certain people need certain things, you know, like the lady with the baby and things of that nature. I make sure I get milk and things like that. But the wonderful thing that I get to do, Reverend Sharri, is I sit down with them on the ground and I hug them. I hold their hands. I talk to them. I treat them as equals, and I don't see any difference in them. They're living differently than I'm living, you know. That's it. I live in a little house, they live out in the yard, you know. So but I ask them about their life. Give me your story, you know. And do you want to stay here? And if you do, it's okay. But do you want help? Do you want out? Do you want a way out? You know, what's going on? And they said that I'm the only person that actually talks to them. And so I make that a big, huge point to just listen to them and let them get it out. Because most people just drop off food and go away. I talk to them about, do you know that you have a way to change all of this by right here and by right here? And they look at me and they go, what do you mean? I said, your words and your thoughts can change everything for you. Are you aware of that? And they're, no, tell me more. And so I go into preaching almost, but I'm just sharing with them that, you know, what are you putting your I am to, you know, and that every word we say puts the vibration out into the world, and the world responds to us, right? So when we get mad and we get angry, we get madder and more angry. And when we're happy and blessed, we get more happy and more blessed. And you see their eyes like light up a little bit. And I can't say that every one of them has been changed, but I have seen remarkable development in these people's lives by sharing the power of spirit within us. Not out there, like maybe you were taught, right here, right here. And so it makes me want to cry a little bit because I feel like I'm taking New Thought to the streets, you know?
You are, and you're taking it to the streets one heart at a time. And I suspect that there are other people who talk to them,
Yeah.
but what they're really doing is talking at them. They're delivering a script.
Mm-hmm.
They've learned a certain set of questions they're supposed to ask because these are the questions they know the answers to.
True.
And you ask them what their questions are,
Mm-hmm.
and help them figure out what the answers are supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. Your ministry just makes my heart jump up and down and shout for joy because it's your ministry. It's you're just it's who you are. It's what you do. It's your whole heart, and I just absolutely adore that.
Well, thank you. You know, you mentioned in the opening, I was listening to your opening, and you mentioned that I've known for a long time that I wanted to be a minister. And that's sort of right, but I'd put a little bit of twist on it. I never wanted to be a minister, quite frankly, because my grandfather was a minister, my mother was also. And I saw what went on behind the scenes of things. And I grew up saying, I'm never going to be a minister. But what happened was, yeah, don't ever say never. But what happened was, there's two major instances in my life that happened. And we sort of got into it last time we talked. And we're good friends, so you know all about it. But two instances in my life led me to being here with you today and being in the ministry. And that was when I think it was either 5 or 7. I don't remember, Sharri. And I probably told you 7, but maybe 7. But at any rate, we lived in one house. My grandparents lived in the house next door, and my aunt lived down the street. And the first Black family moved into our neighborhood. And I saw the truck roll up. It was a U-Haul truck. I can see it today, just as clear as 60 years ago. And they got out and they were moving things in, of course, just like people do. And then I saw the little boy and the little girl playing out in the yard of their new yard and checking things out. So I went inside and I got my little truck and I was going to go down and meet the little boy. And so I got about halfway down our yard, and my grandpa stopped me and said, "Where are you going, boy?" And I said, "I'm going to go down and meet those little kids and play with that boy and show him my truck." He says, "No, you're not." I'm like, "Yes, I am." He says, "No, you're not." And I said, "Well, why?" I used to ask why all the time, and I learned you're not supposed to ask why or what. But at any rate, I asked why, and he said, "Because we don't associate with those people." But I had just heard him last Sunday in the pulpit telling everybody to love each other. And so it was a disconnect for me. So when he went inside, I went anyway. And so I made a decision and I went down there anyway. And I remember when the boy's mother saw me, she says, "Honey, does your mama know you're down here?" I said, "Oh yeah, they know." And they didn't. And so, and I guess she probably knew more than I knew at that time.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I started playing, and about, I guess, 10 minutes later, I felt somebody grab me on my shoulder, and it was my grandpa. And he told the lady sorry, and he drugged me back home and gave me a whooping. I knew at that moment that was the first time someone told me somebody's different. I didn't know that before then. And then I started school not long after that. And they had a colored bathroom and a white bathroom and a colored sink and a white sink. And I didn't understand that. So needless to say, I used to go into the black bathroom and I used to drink out of the black water fountains because I knew at that point when I couldn't play with that little boy, something's wrong here. This is not right. I knew that was not right in my heart, but I couldn't voice it. And so that has stuck with me for the longest time, forever since then. And I wanted every Black person in the world to know that I loved them and cared for them. And that's what started all of this, was seeing the disparaging behavior and things that happen to people that are not white or in the right crowd or something of that nature. So I made it my mission to make sure that every Black person I ever saw knew that I loved them. And then it sort of became the gay thing, because years later, when I was 22, my grandmother asked me if I was gay, and I told her yes. And it was not a great thing at that moment, but she flew out of the restaurant and left. And I've told you the story before, but when I got home, my grandpa and my uncle were on the doorstep waiting for me, and it did not go well. And I was kicked out of the family and assaulted, and I fled to Texas and ended up staying 8 years there, and ended up in Bakersfield, Southern California. Lived in New Mexico. I have had a wonderful, tremendous life. And I knew all of these years that I wanted to help disenfranchised people like me, people who were ousted. There's another way, y'all. There's another way. Today, I love you. Tomorrow, I find something out, just a slither of something, find out different that I didn't know about you. And I hate you, you're kicked out, you're harmed. How do we change that? New thought is the direction, the path, the bridge to that. Because with new thought, what I'm doing is we're able to have some conversations with people, seeking to understand, because love can bring about a whole bunch of conversation. Tolerance will get you to that point just a little bit, to maybe open you up to love. And then if you can forgive, and if you can seek to understand and ask questions, miracles can happen. Lives can change. Families can come together. You don't necessarily have to believe in it or accept it, whatever the diversity is, or something that your daughter did, or, back home in the South, it would be a white girl married a Black boy or something of that nature. And that they would have gotten hurt just as much as I got hurt back then for being gay. So those are my two big parts of my ministry, is making sure that the world understands a little bit more, the people that want to understand. Why is that person trans? What's that about? Because I had to do, even though I'm gay, I had to catch myself up with all these new kids these days, and they amaze me. They certainly amaze me at the knowledge they have and the spirituality that they have. So that's what I've been doing.
Well, I think that's wonderful. And what I'm hearing you say is my favorite thing. And that is that the big difference between what you and I believe and what our parents believed is that they approached life from the perspective of how am I different from this person?
Mm-hmm.
How is this person different from me? How am I better than this person? How is this person worse than me or less than me? We approach the life from the perspective of how are we the same? Because no matter who the we involved are, we are more alike than we are different at every single level. We
Of
are more
course.
alike than we are different, but we
Mm-hmm.
have to look at how we're alike. We
Mm-hmm.
have to recognize how we're alike. We have to celebrate how we're alike without denying the differences that make us unique.
Exactly. Exactly. And that takes me into spiritual and ethical living, which I'm big on. You know, that's the other third part of my ministry is I love talking about spiritual and ethical living because you can be spiritual. And in my mind, you have to be ethical if you're spiritual. And I just sort of believe that. And you can ask me that question later and I might have another answer, but and you
Probably
can
not.
be ethical and not be spiritual. You know, people can be ethical and not spiritual. But when you're spiritual, our spirituality allows us to develop meaningful connections, right? With something bigger than ourselves. So it could be a higher power, it could be a creator, it could be a book, you know, a divine philosophy. And it points us to our value, our great value. You're a value. Everyone watching this is a value. And so it gives us that sense that everything is connected. The gay people, the black people, the brown people, the white people, the yellow people, whatever. We are all connected. We are all one. And when I'm out talking to the unhoused about that, they're like, help me understand that more because I heard about God on the cross and things like that. So I talk to them about the universality that we are all connected. And if we know that, if we know that we are all connected in that universality of creator, of God, of spirit, then we might just think before we say something. Stop and pause, not to cause or to hurt anybody, to cause harm or hurt to anyone. And you know, and when we go back just a few steps, when I counsel with families of gay children to try to help them understand, I ask them, did you ever ask any questions? Have you asked them, how do you feel? What's this like for you? Is there an imbalance in your head? Is it total balance and total clarity? Where can I support you and help you? Have you asked those questions? Because nobody asked me those questions ever.
I was very blessed that my baby sister, who passed away about a year and a half ago, was lesbian, and she was Catholic. I never could understand that part. I mean, you walk in the door and they say you're going to hell. Have a seat. Excuse me,
Right.
but she understood that my spirituality was different from her, and somehow she accepted and respected that. She would call me up and say, would you call it silent unity for me? And I would say to her, Paula Joe, you live 6 blocks away and I live 1,000 miles away. She said, I know, but you believe in God and I'm not sure I do. And so God will listen to you. And I said, okay, fine. And I would call him. But she understood that the only way people learn is by asking questions. And so she said to me, point blank, you can ask me anything you want to ask me, anything, and I will give you a truthful answer.
Wow.
So I was able to learn about, I have, you know, the old saying, I have lots of gay friends. Well, it turns out I do have lots of gay friends, and it's mainly because they know I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's like saying I have lots of friends who have freckles, or I have lots of friends who speak Spanish. You know, it doesn't, it's a trivial detail to me. Not to say that it's not important, but just that it's not a make or break thing for me. And that's fully, my little sister is completely responsible for that because she made it okay for me to ask those questions. And the reason I bring this up is I want you to understand that the parents may not ask questions because they are afraid to ask
Of
questions.
course.
They don't know what questions to ask. They're afraid they will push the child away. So maybe what you need to do is help them learn what questions make sense for them to ask. How can I support you?
I made a list already.
Because that's the most. I taught college for 35 years. I know that we learn by asking questions, no matter what the topic is, no matter what the situation is, no matter what it is we believe or don't believe. We learn by asking questions, and we have to learn how to ask. That's why I'm taking a racial equity class, because I want to know what questions I can ask and how I can ask them in such a way that I will learn without offending anybody, without hurting anybody.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm saying that.
And one of the things that, of course, going back to early age, I've always knew that I was going to help people, and didn't necessarily know about the minister part, but I knew I was going to help people. But I'll tell you, when I went to Unity Village, 2 years ago, I think you were there also.
Yep, I was.
For the conference, went into the bookstore to look and see what maybe gay books type things, spiritual type books that they might have on the gay subject, diversity subject. And when I walked in, now you'd think that I would know better, but even I have to learn and grow too. But I walked in and there were two people at the front desk, at the counter. And I just said, "Hi, ladies." And I said, "I'm looking for," and they looked at each other and then looked back at me and they said, "I go by they, and he goes by he, him." And they both looked like girls to me. And oh, okay, well, thank you. And so they showed me some books and things of that nature. And so I turned back around about 5 minutes later. I said, "There's nobody in the store right now except for me. Would y'all be willing to sit down and help me?" And she says, "Of course. What do you need? What book are you looking for?" I said,
Which
"No."
one? They or him?
They.
It took me a while to get the hang of that, but I
know.
really appreciate it now.
But they did. They sat down and explained it all to me. And I said, "I'm 60 years old. I'm 61 now, but I'm 60 years old at the time." And I said, "I'm gay. I've been gay my whole life. I'm very out. And I don't know this much about all this trends. Would you help me?" And I said, "Because I'm trying to help others and I need to know more." They helped me. They gave me a book and everything. But at any rate, it was wonderful. The knowledge that these two young people, who must have been like 18 or 20. And then just the other day, I went with the Vacaville Unity Church to help them with their booth at the Pride in Vacaville. I was just amazed. 60 years ago, we were hiding and trying to find some place that we could celebrate without getting arrested. And I was in a raid. I got arrested. I was in jail for overnight, 16 hours. But anyway, it's just amazing how strong and knowledgeable and political these young people are. And I'm looking forward to what's coming up in the world with these young people. So, but I talk to them and I ask them, what are you going to do with your ability and your uniqueness in your life? And they tell me, they already know. And then I talk to them about, we can all make this world a better place. One person at a time, one act at a time, one prayer at a time. And when we recognize, and I tell this to them, when we recognize that our whole being, our heart, our mind, and our spirit is God, is everything, that belief changes their actions in the way that they engage. And that's with the groups that I work with and even the unhoused. Because when they realize that they have the ability to create with here and here and here, they're changing. They're taking steps. And it's amazing. And so no matter the political views, the race, the religion, the differences, it's easy to see the divine in each other. And if we can do that every single day when we're walking down the street, just you smile at somebody, engaging with them, that's ethical behavior. And I'll start preaching, so stop me.
Oh, I don't want to stop you. You're not saying anything. I don't want to say amen to preaching.
Okay.
But a thought came to me when you were talking about the two young people in the bookstore, and that is something that my grandma used to say. Now, my grandma would have run screaming into the night if she'd found out. But nonetheless, she used to say, out of the mouths of babes.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
forget that. Wisdom isn't the sole province of those of us who've been around several decades. Wisdom is part of being an expression of the divine.
Exactly. And when we access that divine within us, because sometimes we shut it out, sometimes we close the door on it, we think our way might be better or things of that nature. But when we don't shut it out, when we reflect with it, when we create with it, we can get through any adversity in life. We can get through any disagreements. And if we take that spiritualness that's within us and we mix it with some ethics, what a powerful ball of wonderfulness you have, And when we go out into the world, we can see the face of God, as Karen Drucker's song says. We can see the face of God in every single person we pass on the street. And I make it, some people think I'm crazy. And when I first moved to San Francisco, I would say hi because I'm from the South. But people would, why are you talking to me? Don't say hi to me. And I still do. But now I make it a point when I'm walking down the street, walking my dogs, whatever, I look every single person in the eye and I smile. I don't always say hi verbally, but I smile and I nod. Or I say, hi, how are you today? And I remind myself, because it's a practice, right, Sharri? It's a practice.
Yeah, it's a practice.
So I remind myself, oh, be kind to people today. Help someone struggling today. How can I be something better for somebody today? How can I shift them into something that's going to take them somewhere that they were more in line for? So, and when we exhibit this behavior, and because there's a flip side too, Sharri, and you know it, I'm sure, because, we want to be all spiritual and blissful and be, all those things, and we are, and that's wonderful. But there's times of adversity also in our life. And sometimes our unity in our religious science and new thought just sort of goes right out the window and we just explode, right? I mean, I have. But when we exhibit this practice in times of adversity, when we're faced with disagreements, we can offer tolerance. We can ask for forgiveness. We can seek to understand. We can ask questions. And we can have a conversation versus reacting or saying hurtful words. Yep. And so the key to me of enlightenment is uniting spiritual and ethical behavior. So that's why I bring it together. I have a message that I do at churches, that spiritual and ethical living, because you need them both, I think.
You do. They balance each other. They support each other. It's what Ernest Holmes said. And you just identified to him. He said there's a golden thread of truth that runs through all faith traditions. And our job is to find those threads and weave them together to create a fabric that can support any seeker, And so you got to have the warp and the woof. You got to have the sideways and the up and down if you're going to support them. And so ethics is one of them and spirituality is the other. And when you put those two together, you have an unbreakable bond. It's like, did you know that a spider web, ounce for ounce, pound for pound, is stronger than forged steel?
No, actually, I did not.
Yes, it is. And it's because the way the spider webs are created, it's because when there's a tear in the spider web, the web shifts. It stretches to spread out the weight that was supported by the part that was torn while the spider fixes the part that was torn. And that's what ethics and spirituality do for us. They give us a way to shift. They give us a way to stretch. They give us a way to adjust to, here's one of the three questions I ask everybody. Conscious evolution. what you're talking about. How is spiritual and ethical living, how does that support, enhance, develop, whatever verb you want to use, conscious evolution? My particular hobby horse.
Well, it becomes all of it, because you've got to be conscious, right? And where did you go? Oh, there you are. Oh, you put me on the speaker thing. I'm like used to seeing you up there. But anyway, at any rate, but consciousness, yes, because we've got to be conscious of our actions, conscious of our deeds, conscious of our thoughts, conscious of the way we smile or not smile at people. But consciousness, divine consciousness, we can exhibit it, let it flow out of us, because it's coming into us. It's coming from within us, actually, right? So, but when we're conscious of other people, when we're conscious of empathy, of being able to read other people, that's one of the things that it can be a gift or a curse, I think, sometimes, because I go down the street and I can sort of almost hear people's thoughts, and I can feel what's going on in their life. And I've been doing that since I was a child. And sometimes it gets a little overwhelming. But when we're conscious of what's going on around us, and we're conscious enough that we have dealt into our consciousness with spirit and lived there, right? We live there, we harmony there, we exist there. Then when we exist there, that consciousness is what comes out of us, of our energy, and puts it out there. People want it, right? They want to know more. So that's why, what was that your mom and dad used to say? Always put on your best behavior out there because people are looking, something like that.
Well, but mine always said, always wear clean underwear because you never know when you're in a car wreck, but it's the same concept.
Well, they said that too, but you're more brave than I am. But when we are conscious of things of that nature, we have a sense of, I think we're all innately have a sense of wanting to help others. I think we do. And it's what degree or level of it, because I don't think any of us really want to see people hurt, because just like when you see people celebrating, don't you get happy with them? Like you'll see a party or a birthday party or someone celebrating something down the road or at a park, and you see people having fun. It sort of does that to you too, doesn't it? So it's the other part too, y'all. So if it's all the anger and the crazy and the reaction, then that's what's showing up in your life also, and you're attracting more of that into your life. So to me, the spiritual and ethics together combined give you a powerful life. I mean, it's amazing. Miracles happen. People come to you. Things just happen. People show up in your life to help you, support you, encourage you. And so when we see, feel, and experience the humanity of all of us, y'all, we're the vehicle. We're the conduit for change for other people. Yes?
Yes. And here's the next question that leads right out of that one. How does spirituality and ethics promote, enhance, develop, unveil world peace?
Wow. I think considering world peace, spiritual and ethics needs to rise up bigger right now. But I think that we're seeing a movement of spirit and ethics right now. And we're seeing it sort of split. And we're seeing it in ways that maybe we've seen before, and maybe we didn't recognize or are seeing it for the first time. But I think if the whole world could hear what we just said, maybe it would spark something in them to take pause and say, maybe there's something to this. Maybe if I looked at this person that just cut me off at the red light as a person that just had a little bit of a mess up right there, didn't really want to harm me, didn't want to hurt me, didn't curse me out, maybe I'd give some grace there. Maybe walking down the street, when I see someone hurt, I'll help them. Or the other day, I fell, y'all. I hit a back end of a truck with my knee, and I fell down in a parking lot. And I felt like the oldest old man falling down. And these people just ran over to help me. And it's like, I'm okay. But but they came to help me. So when people are in need and they can see it, they come to help you. Sometimes you can't always see the need that's coming from within because people don't want to share it, because people aren't exhibiting it. But just take the unhoused, for instance, or someone who's hurting or struggling. They have needs that maybe they're not telling us about. So how do we help them? How do we engage with them so that they tell us what their needs are? And the way to do that is just be spirit, be God to them, because we are. Just be love to them. Just hug them. That'll give them what they need.
Works
And
for
so,
me.
and when we actually take all of this in a mindful, empathetic way, no, don't think about differences. Let all those differences go out of your head. Get rid of differences and labels. I cut the label off my jeans because I don't want labels.
I do
So,
too.
but one way to achieve this, Sharri, is to truly practice being present with another person. Because that creates a place of healing, doesn't it? And connection. And isn't that what they're seeking? Isn't that what we're seeking? And y'all, just me going out to help the unhoused or going out to do whatever I do, I'm seeking connection. I'm seeking community. As much as I'm wanting to help people and to be a support to people so that they have their best life, I'm wanting that too. And they're giving me that. When I'm out on the street, I get that. So this is how we learn to navigate our life.
There is. And there's a phrase they use a lot in every New Thought tradition, and that is that spirit can only do for us what spirit can do through us.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's very true.
So here's my last question. You already know about it. Will you come back? My next opening is March 5th of next year. Will you be here?
Well, let me look on my calendar right now, and I'll just tell you yes or no. March 5th next year. Good Lord. You're really booking up, aren't you?
I don't let people escape.
March 5th happens to be open. That is a Tuesday. I will put you down.
Excellent. We're good to go. Oh,
thank you for doing that. That's very sweet to come back. Thank you.
I love when people come back. It's never the same twice. And so, folks, next week we have Dr. Laura Mock, who has the most amazing ministry called Vistara Wisdom School. So don't miss it. It's new and different and exciting, just like all of our shows. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.